Hello, my friends. Welcome to another episode of Deep True Crime. I'm Manny Rodriguez. In today's episode, I want to go over the Brian Walshe case. In the missing mom case of Anna Walshe, her husband has since been charged with her disappearance and murder. But see, here's the problem. There's no body. No body, no crime? There have been a lot of people who have gotten away with such incidents because of no body, no crime. Not everyone. And so we're going to be diving into this. Could he possibly get away with this because there's no body? Let's go ahead and dive into what we know at this time. Anna Walshe. She is the most high-profile missing person case of 2023. Her husband has since been arrested and charged with her disappearance and murder. You see, Anna Walshe, who has been the most talked about missing person case in this year after she disappeared in the early hours of the new year. The real estate executive, only 39 years old, was last seen by her husband, Brian Walshe, who claims that she left their Cohasset, Massachusetts home for a work emergency in Washington, D.C. However, she never took a plane and was reported missing on January 4th. Since then, her husband has been charged with the murder, even though there is no trace of her body has been recovered anywhere. And so that is what's making this such a weird case, because no one knows where Anna Walshe is. But there has been evidence that there looks like something disturbing has occurred. But here's the truth. Could he possibly get away with such a heinous crime? You see, while police have said they have strong circumstantial evidence against Brian, from genetic material to surveillance footage of him buying cleaning materials to his disturbing internet search history. You see, he was said to have done some crazy searches around this case. And so we're talking about searches of disposing of a 115-pound woman's body. He Google searched that. That does not look good. That does not look good at all. And so former Washington, D.C. prosecutor Thomas Tad DiBiase, he told the Post, without Anna's body, prosecutors are at a disadvantage, but can still secure a conviction. That's what he is sharing. Although many people mistakenly believe you need to find a body to prove a crime has been committed, DiBiase said that this is far from true and pointed to his research, which concluded that no body murder cases even have a 86% conviction rate compared to 70% for all murder cases as a whole. And so this guy, DiBiase, he has this website, and it's called No Body Cases, something along those lines. And so in his research through March 18, 2020, 538 trials, 50 states, DC, Puerto Rico, and Virgin Islands, approximately 69 dismissals, mistrials, acquittals, or reversals on appeal for conviction rate of approximately 86%. So that's what he is sharing. Conviction for all murder cases is 70% according to Bureau of Justice statistics. Approximately 31 death penalty cases. 91% of cases involve male defendants, with 58% of the victims being female. at least 52%. That is 268 cases. Literally, at least that many cases were domestic violence cases just like this one. Generally, a man killing a woman. 17%, which is 90 cases, had victims under 18 years old, generally children of defendants. And so you can easily find that out there. So I'm not going to go put in a bunch of links. It is literally a 132-page document from Tad DiBiase. Now, his name is Thomas. Is Tad from Thomas? Or was that a nickname given to him like Ted DiBiase, the former wrestler? I found that a little interesting, but unrelated nonetheless. Sometimes I throw out these little strange things. It is what it is, right? And so the question remains, will there be a body in this case? Because we really don't know outside of that, literally. And so DiBiase, he said that this is far from true and pointed to his research, which I shared, which concluded no body murder cases even have an 86% conviction rate. So meaning they can still be convicted even without a body, compared to 70% for all murder cases as a whole. And so DiBiase, who served with the DC District Attorney's Office for over 10 years, prosecuted the district's second ever no body case. He has since become a leading expert on this subject. And so while it is known that he is arrested for this, outside of that, we don't really know what is to become of next. This is Tad DiBiase. He served with the DC District Attorney's Office for over 10 years, prosecuted the district's second ever no body case. And so he has since become a leading expert on the no body found. Will there be a conviction? You know, he walks the post through complications of a no body murder and what to expect from the Brian Walshe case. And here we have Anna Walshe, the mom of 3, was said to be divorcing Brian Walshe. What is said to also have been what might have led to what we know now, right? There's no body. We don't know what happened to this missing mom. But evidence does point that something heinous is clearly have happened to her. And so, although the history of no body murder prosecutions in the U.S., it dates as far back to the early 19th century. You can even see here the first wrongful conviction. Jesse Bourne and Stephen Bourne. I'm not going to dive into that case at all, but DiBiase says that when you don't have a body, you don't have the best piece of evidence in a murder case. He said that the absence of a victim's body brings an added layer of challenge in court because it requires prosecutors to prove not only the defendant committed a heinous crime, but also that the victim is actually deceased to begin with. And so he says that without a body, you have to show enough evidence to make a juror believe that beyond a reasonable doubt, not only is the person dead, but that the person sitting there in court is the one who did it. And so that's what he is sharing, that they have to prove that. And so when you don't have a body, you don't know exactly when the person was murdered. You might not know how they were murdered. You don't know where they were killed. That is what Tad DiBiase is sharing. And DiBiase's assessment, it was backed up by that of Lisa Daddio, MSW, a retired police lieutenant who is now on the faculty at the University of New Haven. That is what we are hearing, right? And so we only want to know, what did he do to the missing mom? because it is definitely looking like he did something. And now, DiBiase, he shares that when a body is discovered, most time a medical examiner or coroner can determine cause and manner of death, which is directly related to the charges against an individual. And you can see this note that was left by Brian about Anna's disappearance on the family's dining room table, basically pleading for everyone to believe that he did nothing wrong. And so, while the lack of a victim's body poses a challenge for investigators and prosecutors, the ability to hold up murder convictions in court hinges on the legal principle corpus delicti. I'm not too sure how to pronounce that, or body of the crime. And this here, as you just saw, is the Cohasset home of Brian Walshe and his missing wife, Anna Walshe. I mispronounced that. Cohasset. According to the Cornell Law School Legal Information Institute, corpus delicti dictates that a suspect cannot be convicted of a crime without a body. A person cannot be convicted of a crime without sufficient evidence that the misdeed was actually committed. In the absence of the victim's remains, homicide cases rely on other convincing physical and circumstantial evidence. And that is corpus delicti. I don't know if I'm pronouncing that right at all, really. One of the first modern cases to bring corpus delicti into popular consciousness was that of Robert Leonard Ewan Scott, who was sentenced to life in prison in 1957 for the murder of his wife, Evelyn Throsby Scott, who was last seen in 1955. Because Evelyn's remains were never found, Scott's conviction hinged in part on the fact that her glasses, dentures, and other personal belongings were found near an incinerator on the couple's Bel Air property. Although Scott denied killing Evelyn for several years, his New York Times obituary states that he confessed to author Diane Wagner about being released on parole in 1978. In his conversation with the Post, DiBiase, he claimed that there have been 576 no-body murder trials in the United States in the last 200 years, with more than half of them occurring since 2000. And so that's where it's like, could he get away with this? My guess is no, he will not be getting away with this. Again, we will find out more because they found some damning evidence in the basement of that Cohasset, Massachusetts home. That's why I truly believe there's a lot to this, and it's not looking good for him. That is my take on the matter. I don't know. What do you guys think? Let me know in the comments. DiBiase attributed the uptick in prosecutions to advances in technology, including the growing role of DNA evidence, forensics such as fingerprints and electronic trails, or online footprints including location data, surveillance cameras, ATM transactions, and cell phones, which track a user's location and carry a wealth of personal data. Now, both genetic and digital evidence played a major role in the murder charges against Brian Walshe. At his arraignment, Assistant District Attorney Lynn Beelan told Quincy District Court DNA from both Anna and Brian was found on a pair of bloody slippers and the Tyvek bodysuit uncovered at the Peabody trash transfer site several days later. The two stained items were unearthed alongside other suspicious objects, including a hacksaw, a hatchet, and a carpet. And so that's why it does not look good for Brian Walshe. Surveillance footage from the days after Anna was last seen, that's where they were able to see a lot of what was going on with him. Because they literally saw him at the smoothie place. They saw him at Home Depot. And so it did not look good. Seriously. That's why it's hard to believe that this guy did nothing wrong. You see, surveillance footage from the days after Anna was last seen was also captured Brian placing 2 other heavy sets of trash bags in random dumpsters. Beeland told the court that the contents of those bags, which may have included Anna's remains, had already been incinerated by the time that cops got to them. In addition to the DNA and suspicious footage, Beeland detailed Brian's chilling internet search history. In the early hours of New Year's Day, the father of 3 allegedly used his son's iPad to look up how long before a body starts to smell. That is damaging evidence. Literally, that is not good for him. And so in the early hours of New Year's Day, the father of 3 allegedly used his son's iPad to look up different things. How long before a body starts to smell? How to stop a body from decomposing. That is damaging evidence. Without a body, that still doesn't look good for him. He also searched how long for someone to be missing to inherit. That does not look good for him. What will his defense team be saying about that? And so these strange online search queries continue throughout the day and into the rest of the week with follow-up questions, including how long does DNA last, dismemberment, and the best ways to dispose of a body, and can you be charged with murder without a body? He searched that. Come on, my friends, let's be real. If he is doing these Google search on his son's iPad, it does not look good for him. It does not. He even searched best state to divorce for a man. Was he looking for the divorce, or was Anna looking for the divorce? Because if he typed best state to divorce for a man, why would he do that part? And he did this on December 27th. This was just days before Anna vanished. And so even though there's no body, it does not look good for this guy. Because rather than divorce, it is believed that Brian dismembered Anna Walshe and discarded her body. That is what prosecutors actually believe he did. We won't really know until this goes down. And we continue to find out so much more about this crime. And truth is, even though there's no body, everything surrounding him looks very suspicious. Can we not be honest about that? This guy does not look good. Here he was smiling during one of his first court appearances. I'm sorry, your wife has been missing and you have reasons to smile? Yeah, you do. If you have something that you did wrong, you definitely do. And so DiBiase, he said that Walshe has checked off boxes of things you're not supposed to do, going and doing these unbelievably idiotic Google searches. He's writing a how-to of how not to escape committing a no-body murder. DiBiase, he also noted that many no-body cases stem from similar domestic violence incidents. The husband is the most obvious suspect. He explains this. Literally, he shared that the husband is the most obvious suspect when this happens. Literally, that actually makes sense. While the Walshe saga is currently dominating the nation's headline, DiBiase said that most readers are probably more familiar with no-body trials than they realize. You see, Anna Walsh's disappearance, it shows particularly disturbing resemblance to that of Jennifer Dulos, which was a Connecticut writer and mother of 5 who was last seen at her rental home in New Canaan, Connecticut on May 24th, 2019. At the time of her disappearance, Jennifer was in the process of divorcing her husband. And so that is where it's like, okay, that does not look good at all for anyone involved. And so Jennifer went missing, although Fotis and his girlfriend Michelle Traconis were charged with tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution just a few weeks after Jennifer disappeared. This is Jennifer in this picture. And her husband Fotis Dulos, him and his girlfriend were charged with tampering with evidence and hindering prosecution only a few weeks after Jennifer vanished. Fotis was not slapped with capital murder charges related to her death until just almost 3 years ago, on January 7th of 2020. Very similar all around to this case that we are dealing with now. And so that does not look good either. And DiBiase, he said that it's less important when an arrest occurs versus whether they have sufficient evidence to make both probable cause to arrest and are able to prove guilt beyond a reasonable doubt at trial. DiBiase, he told the New York Post of the lag behind Fotis' charges versus the apparent speed of those against Brian Walshe. Fotis was released on bond later that month and subsequently attempted suicide at his home on January 28, 2020. He was pronounced dead 2 days later. As of 2023, Jennifer's remains have never been found. And so that does not look good either. You can even see the different letters that Anna Walshe was writing in defense of her husband, which to me is pretty chilling because she was doing everything she can and supporting this man while he had other things on his mind. And you can see this unfolded poster is attached to a wall in the home of Brian and Anna Walshe that has a large number of people who signed it for Brian and offered praise and affirmations. These are all people who were in support of this guy. But truth is, we don't really know much more outside of that. But Brian did have a lot of support. You see, this happens too much where the female goes missing and then we find out the husband had something to do with it. Brian Walshe knew that he was going to be facing some literal, he knew this would be happening. And then you also had the case of Kristen Smart. In the most recent news, DiBiase pointed readers to Paul Flores, who was convicted of first-degree murder last fall in the 1996 killing of his college classmate, Kristen Smart. Now, her remains have never been recovered, and prosecutors, they successfully argue that Flores murdered her during a rape attempt. His father, Ruben Flores, was acquitted by a separate jury of accessory charges for allegedly helping Paul Flores bury Smart's body. DiBiase also noted that some of America's most infamous killers have no body murder convictions on their rap sheet. That is too hard. You also had Charles Manson, for example, who was convicted of first-degree murder in 1971 for the August 1909 death of Donald Jerome Shorty Shea. And so even you had that. Sorry, I said 1909. That was so crazy off. 1969 of Donald Jerome Shorty Shea. And so, Manson reportedly ordered 3 members of his cult-like family to kill Shay because he believed the aspiring actor was leaking information about the group's criminal activities to authorities. Shay's remains were not found until 6 years after Manson and the family were convicted, when one of the killers led police to its location. And so you had different cases where there were no bodies and yet there was still a conviction. Despite the complications of no body murder cases, DiBiase is confident that Brian Walshe is guilty of his wife's murder and that he will face justice for sure. And so he said the Massachusetts police have done a bang-up job on this case. That is him speaking of the Cohasset police. They have done everything they are supposed to do. They seemingly treated it as a murder case from the beginning, not as a missing person. DiBiase reiterated that the evidence against Brian is very valuable, very damning, and surmised that it appears that he is not going to get away with killing Anna. Hopefully, it won't even go to trial. He says this is a strong case. This is a very difficult case for him to get out of at this point. My hope is that he would actually plead guilty. At his arraignment, Brian pled not guilty to the murder charges, and he has previously pleaded not guilty to charges of misleading the police in their investigation of Anna's disappearance. But right now, it truly does not look good for Brian Walshe. Is that not the truth, my friends? Because you can see, like, they literally had this guy at surveillance. They had him on surveillance video at the dumpster where he was found to have been, where he was getting rid of evidence in this case. And so it's only a matter of time before we find out more. Some criminal legal experts are saying that this guy is as dumb as dirt. Those were their exact words at how bad he is at this crime, because he did not do a good job of hiding it. Literally, they're saying this guy is as dumb as dirt to believe that he could possibly get away with this. Is that not the truth, or what? And so it's only a matter of time before we find out more. Will this go to trial? Literally, will this go to trial? Do you think that it will go to trial? Let me know in the comments if you think that this will go to trial. Because here he is, literally at this liquor store on Paradise Road, across the street from his mother's condo complex, where he is seen on camera, literally dumping stuff. Now, did they find anything in there? I don't really know, but this camera definitely caught him there. The security camera is near a Whole Food market that Walshe had told investigators he stopped at while running errands on New Year's Day. So, I mean, he was trying to cover his tracks, but he did not do a good job of it at all. Literally. This is the dumpster that they seized, and a trash compactor at the Swampscott site where they saw him put something in there. But what did they get? Because I think that they didn't find much there, but he was seen on surveillance camera doing that. And police, they said that they found a hatchet, hacksaw, trash bag, used cleaning materials, and a blood-soaked rug at a trash facility. This is the trash facility in Peabody. And so, this is hard to take in. Because what we do find out is that Anna Walshe had a lot of money, and she was going to be selling off everything she can to liquidate it for cash. Rest in peace, Anna Walshe. taken away from this world way too soon. It leaves me mind blown. Why would this man want to take his wife away from his 3 children? Over money. This guy is alleged to have stolen $1 million from his own father. And Anna Walshe is said to have had $3 million. He obviously wanted her money. Because even though he was convicted of fraud, he was not going to be put away for the rest of his life. They would probably give him some time to serve and then out, and he could be back with his life. His wife was probably doing her own thing in Washington, D.C. I'm not trying to judge. I really don't care. She just didn't deserve to lose her life. She did not deserve to lose her life. Over money? Over anything. I don't care if she was having affairs. She did not deserve to lose her life for no reason whatever. There is no good reason. Let me know in the comments your thought. Because truth is, this lady did not deserve this. Her 3 young boys did not deserve this. And now 3 boys who are in state custody. You hear that? They are in state custody, which means they're probably in a foster care with a family they don't even know. Their dad most likely did this. Their dad is alleged to have done this to them. And by all accounts, I don't even care if you need a verdict to know that he did something wrong. I don't need a guilty verdict. There's enough proof that has come out to say this guy did something to Anna Walshe. But where is she? Where is Anna Walshe? Will it be years before they find her? They're most likely still searching for her. But truth is, we do not want to wait years to get justice for this lady. Granted, even if he is convicted, she deserves a proper burial. Because wherever he did the heinous thing to her, it is not right. My friends, if this is the type of content you like to follow, please hit that subscribe button. Let me know that you're getting some value by hitting that like. And please, hit that notification bell. That way you get notified if this is the type of content that you like to follow. If it's just the Anna Walshe story, then make sure you stick to the playlist, the Anna Walshe playlist on the channel. My friends, this guy did something to her, and now we want justice. No body, no crime? I'm not buying it. I believe they have enough to convict this guy. Until next time, my friends, please, my whole goal is to be a voice for the victims just like Anna Walshe. Rest in peace, Anna. My goal is also to be a voice for you, to let you know what could go wrong in this crazy world we live in. If you're in a marriage and there are any red flags, pay attention to those red flags. If you're in a marriage where the husband did something really heinous previously to his own family members, pay attention, my friends. Pay attention. I'm Manny Rodriguez. This has been another episode of Deep True Crime. Until next time, my friends, have a great one. Peace.